Me standing here alone and talking to you is making a difference.
We have to learn who we are before we know where we're going.
You have to say something, whether they're gonna change or not. You have to say something, because otherwise you're complicit in the situation.
Regardless of how it is you interact with the world and with your community, your voice is no less important than mine.
The audience really has the power right now in the world that we live in.
Nothing about us should be without us.
I think we're in a moment in history that we need to weaponize empathy.
If we're not involved, if we say, oh, well, no one cares about us anyway, then we're never gonna get anywhere.
Habla.
Habla.
Habla. Habla now.
Our next guest is also a casting director turned director, filmmaker, and she currently worked on the latest installation of Alberto Ferrera's HBO documentary series, Habla Now, with very compelling conversation with everyone from celebrities to everyday folks, talking not only about being Latino, but what it means to be a Latino in America today. Please welcome Elaine Del Valle. Hi, Elaine.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. Boy, that is a compelling documentary series. And I love a quote that I heard, which is, nothing about us should be without us. And I want to ask you, do you think it is getting easier to tell our own stories?
I do think it is getting easier to tell our own stories because technology has really allowed us the opportunity to tell it on our own terms. We don't have to wait for others to say yes to us now. We say yes to ourselves. We can write our own books. We can publish our own books. We can make films using something as small as a cell phone. We can edit. I mean, these are things that I've had desires for a long time to be a filmmaker. And through the years, it's just gotten more affordable for anyone to be able to do it. And so I'm really happy that we have that opportunity to do that.
Even in terms of distribution now with all the streaming services and just a global audience, the concept that when you're writing a story, you're not really writing it for just America, you're writing it for the world.
And I feel that when you're writing a story, you're really writing it for yourself. When you're making a film, you're really doing it for yourself because, in the end, it's your opinion that's going to matter. If you're directing that film, it's got to be your vision. And if no one else likes it, that has to be okay with you. So when people ask me, about my films and how do I come up with things that HBO will pick up or that do so well on the festival circuit, I don't think about those things when I'm making a film. I think about the story that I want to tell and how I want to share it. And hopefully other people through that authentic voice can relate, and that usually is what happens.
Right. Well, I mean, of course, everyone would like to just focus on, their message, but, there is a business side to show business, and you do have to find a way to distribute and fund your projects as well. But tell us a little bit about your films. You have like this amazing spectrum from thrillers to coming of age stories. Tell us a little bit about Me 3.769, which is also streaming on HBO.
Me 3.769 is a short film that I wrote and directed, and it's actually based on a chapter in my book, Brownsville Bred. When I first started writing it, I knew that I wanted to make a film with a young pre-adolescent Latina. And I thought, okay, what stories do I have to tell? And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, I have a whole life of that. And I wrote that in my book, Brownsville Bred, and the stage play that came before it. And so I took one of the scenes from the play, actually two of them is how I first started writing it. And then when I realized I didn't need both stories and I could just expand on the first one, that's how I came up with Me 3.769. It's a very small part of the whole story that exists in Brownsville Bred, but it's a part of the story that I found that audience members were continuously coming to me and telling me that it meant so much to them. And they were then sharing stories with me, a perfect stranger. They were sharing very personal stories that they had never shared before. And
Oh,
so,
wait a minute. I have to have you clarify what Me 3.769 is. And also, I mean, I want to find out how you decided to write a book, who helped you to develop it, and etc. So I have two questions for you.
Sure,
So tell
sure.
us what Me 3.769 means. What kind of equation is this?
well, Me 3.769 is actually a Me Too moment in a young girl's life. But I don't think that when we create films or stories that they should represent just one person. And so I did the mathematics on how many women there are in the world. And I found that there are 3.769 billion women in the world. And so I titled the film Me 3.769. And at the end of the film, I explained that there are 3.769 billion women in the world, and this represents all of us.
I see. And just going back to the development of the story, tell us who, I mean, you started out as an actress.
Yes.
Did you write this project originally for yourself? You were just thinking about ideas for yourself. Tell us how Brownsville Bred came about.
So I was studying under the legendary Wynn Handman at Carnegie Hall, and I was studying acting and scene study. And what I was finding is that the materials that were available for the other actresses were very plentiful, but when it came down to a Latina, an urban Latina like me, a New York Puerto Rican, I really wasn't finding anything that really spoke to me authentically. And so after 2 years of studying with him and doing anything that he wanted me to do in terms of the scenes that he gave me, I just, during the hiatus, I started a writer's group within my class. And we all got together and I started writing my own journey growing up as a Latina in Brownsville, Brooklyn, which is it's a ghetto. I grew up in the projects of Brownsville, which is the murder capital of New York. And I started writing those stories. And I remember coming back to class, and Wynn is, Mr. Handman, may he rest in peace, is someone who is very well known for helping develop many people during their one-person show, including Lemon Anderson, John Leguizamo, Sarah Jones, many people. And so many people had come to him wanting that, but I saw him cut them down so often and say, if you're here for that, forget it. You're here to study. You're gonna be working on the stuff that I give you and nothing else. And so the day that I put it up, I had already been studying with Wynn for 2 years, and I just said, I want to, do a scene that I've been working on, and I just wrote this. And he said to me, you must keep writing this. And he encouraged me, and I felt so encouraged, and it literally wrote itself. Within 3 months, I had finished writing a 90-minute one-person play for myself, and I ended up performing it, and it even went off Broadway.
Oh, wow.
So it won so many awards. It went off Broadway. The New York Times raved, the New York Post, the Daily News. I couldn't believe it. And I got so many opportunities because people who saw the play finally, they felt that so connected to me. They knew me and they wanted to work with me.
Well, I mean, that book has gone on to have a life of its own, the book.
Yes.
You were recently awarded. Tell us about that, and tell us where we can get Brownsville Bred.
I adapted the stage play into a novel. And it's a young adult novel. It was just awarded the most inspirational young adult book by the International Latino Book Awards of 2020. And it was also a quarterfinalist in Publishers Weekly Book Life Prize. You can get it anywhere. You can get it, schools can get it, libraries can get it. It's on Ingram Spark, Brogard, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, just about anywhere. Just go online and look for Brownsville Bred. Yes, I'm so proud of it. Very proud of it. I'm
Well,
especially proud of it because schools now have been reaching out to me and have gotten the book in order to teach their classes and use it because they see it as something that is not regularly available to their students. And so it really is, I'm so proud of it.
Well, before we go, since you have this amazing play turned novel, which is being awarded, and your focus is tweens and up and coming Latinas, what parting words of wisdom would you give to, the amazing number of Latinas that are growing up and looking towards the future?
I would say definitely believe in yourself and keep striving, keep challenging yourself. Don't do what's easy, do what's hard, because you have to prepare yourself for the moment when opportunity will come to you. Yes, you will forge your own path, you will create your own opportunities, but there will come a day where you're so ready that everything that you've been wanting is going to come to you. And I just say keep challenging yourself. And start right away. Don't wait until this or that. Don't give yourself excuses. Start today.
Elaine, you're wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us on the Trend Talk.